Hi, L'OFFICIEL. This is Colman Domingo. My new film is called The Running Man, and it is an adaptation of a Stephen King novel. And the thing that I'm drawn to the most is the epic nature of it, of this dystopian society and this wild, wild game show. And I happen to play the game show host, who is he nefarious? I don't know. You'll have to judge for yourself. Okay, I play Bobby T. His name is Bobby Thompson, but we call him Bobby T, and the audience chants Bobby T, very much like Jerry Springer. He's a great character. I really like him. I like playing him. The challenge was I shot all of my work out in 1 week. My first film was in 1995, and it was called Timepiece, and it was a little independent film. And I said yes, because I was like, yeah, I don't know what that is, or making film. I come from the theater. Do I know what's changed since 1995? I don't know. I've changed, but I feel like I'm hopefully carrying that same spirit of like trying to do things differently and sort of guide sets differently. There's a lot I didn't know and about the industry. I do know that at least the roles that I've been offered have been a bit more complex. Because I think that's the changing nature of this industry, and the more the people who get into the writer's rooms and produce and direct this work can find complexity for people like me to play very complex, diverse characters that are rich and not always heroic, sometimes villainous, but have lots of texture. So I think that's changed a little bit, at least for me. I think the thing that has changed the most in the last 30 years in our industry is that everyone, whether you have a smartphone or not, can create content, can create the universe, can create characters and story that they believe in, and find a platform to get it out there. Who is my dream collaborator? I have a few, and I've been very lucky and very blessed to have worked with a few of them. One of my dream collaborators was Steven Spielberg, and I just finished the film with him. And it really was the dream that I had for myself, to be in a room with him and his spirit and create a character in a world. Truly, so I feel like I'm living in my dream, which is beautiful. If I wasn't acting, I think, it's funny, I think that I would pursue many different things in many different chapters of my life. For a long time I thought, I'd love to have a flower shop. Something about having a very chill place like that where people came in and wanted beautiful things. It doesn't feel like people have too much of an attitude or have a problem going to a flower shop. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, right? So I feel like that, or I actually think I'd be a really good travel coordinator, because I like to plan my own trips. I don't leave it to a travel agent. I like to do the research and figure it all out. So I think it's actually a skill that I have. So I would do that. Have I always had so much fun with fashion? I think I'm having more fun now. I've always had, I guess, a sense of style and a sense of play, and I've always been lean, and but listen, there's different stages of your life where when you were lean, when you were 18 or 19, you didn't want that, so you covered it up, and I didn't have a sense of style. I sort of had a sense of trying to protect my body and not show much. And then you start to grow into yourself and grow into your body, and you start to play with it. Well, I'm tall and lean, I may as well play with it. This is what God's given me. And then you start to find things that fit you a certain way. So then you start to have fun. For me, it's always a great expression, fashion. Do I have any fashion regrets? I don't have it. I have one moment where it just the fit wasn't right. I remember that. And I knew that I just didn't feel comfortable. When I look back at the clothes that I've worn, I'm always pretty happy with it. I feel like, I understood what the assignment was for that. I'm very mindful about that stuff. I've always been that way. So I think one thing I would say, my friends would say, is probably in the early 90s when I was at Temple University, and I used to wear slouch socks. Do you know what slouch socks are? They're very thick socks because I have very skinny ankles, and I wore slouch socks to give myself bigger ankles. Is it so hard being cool all the time? The funny thing is, I think anybody who is quote unquote cool, if you really ask them, I'm just a big old nerd. I'm just like, I think it's, I do think the person that I know is a bit of a goofball, and when I'm home, I dressed, the other day, this is actually really funny. I pulled up to pick up some friends of mine who lived down the hill to go for a walk on the beach. And I was wearing some Carhartt coveralls. They were all dirty from the garden, and some Birkenstocks that were filthy. And I had a hoodie on underneath the Carhartt coveralls. And then I had a sweater on top of me here and a baseball cap and sunglasses. And she was like, are you in the witness protection program? What's up with that? And I was just afraid it was going to be cold at the beach. But I just layered, and I came from the garden, and I didn't think much about what I was wearing.